What is up? What is going on, everyone? Dave at SVA Card Collectors. Crazy, crazy day. Crazy. NBA postpones their entire season. Coronavirus is basically affecting everything, everywhere. Not that I didn't say anything. But, the fact that Rudy Gobert got the coronavirus and he was touching all the mics because he was joking. That's a bit of irony. I think Donovan Mitchell, it was just reported that he has the coronavirus. Tom Hanks, who I didn't think could ever be ill, he has coronavirus. So it is going around. This is a pretty serious thing. So just stay safe, everyone. But to ease your mind, to, not think about it and think about other things, I did a great interview, not a wonderful, not an okay, an amazing interview with Nate from Slabstox. Learned a ton, gave us a lot of, gave me, and is going to give you, so yeah. So he's going to give you a lot of good information, good tips, stuff that he does to learn about baseball prospects and, which cards you should be buying and whatnot. I've talked about these guys before. I think they do an excellent job. So it's really good to have a good long conversation just about everything. It was a good time. So without further ado, well, there will be some ado because we will hear from our sponsors first. So I wanted to talk about a new marketplace that's about to hit the sports card scene called Slabstock. Slabstock is building a sports card marketplace aimed to be faster and cheaper for flipping sports cards than any other platform. This is a ground level moment, and Slabstock is currently looking for people who want to be the first to sell their cards at launch of this new platform. They are offering 5% commission, no ingestion fees. You send in your cards, they do all the work and post for you. Cards are guaranteed and secured in a vault. You can choose to ship cards back at any time. They also have a little guy. He stands in front of the vault. Nobody can get in. Nobody can get out. I think his name is Pedro. Slabstock will be a flipper's paradise. Ooh, a paradise. Where you can buy, flip, store, or ship cards with a click of a button. If you are interested in getting involved as a seller, contact Mike at mike@starstock.com. They're right now only looking for rookie cards and prospects of current players. Again, Mike at starstock.com, or you can head over to their website, starstock.com. Okay. Thank you, Starstox. It was wonderful. Wonderful read. So, now, without further ado, the interview with Nate from Slabstox. How's everyone doing? I am with Nate at Slabstox. How are you doing, Nate?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing swimmingly. So now, where do you live?
I live in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Milwaukee. I see. So you're okay with this coronavirus right now? It hasn't gotten to you yet.
Yeah, it's not hitting Wisconsin yet. I'm pleased by that, but Chicago's only an hour south, and I hear it hit there, so it's probably only a matter of time.
The Chicago, the Bears. Oh yeah, but then you can hunker down and just do more research.
Yeah, I mean, this is already my full-time job. I don't leave the house anyways, so it's going to be hard to get to me.
You just look up and go, what virus? Whatever. Can you just tell my audience a little bit about yourself and what you guys do?
All right. So if none of you have heard of Slabstox, it's started out as a two-man company. It's a three-man now with my brother and one of my other brothers in the background. Only have two brothers.
Daryl's my other brother, Daryl? Oh, that's an old reference. You might not get it. Sorry.
You're right. I don't get
Sorry.
it.
I forget my age. It was a Bob Newhart show. Wow, that's a really old reference. You have no idea. I'm sorry for.
I have actually never heard of that show.
Oh my God.
Oh no, I better look it up after this, just so I'm more educated.
My mind's repeating further back just listening to that. Oh my God. Okay. I'm sorry for interrupting you. Go on.
So anyways, Slabstox is a 4 or 5 man company, but really 3 of us in the foreground doing the work. Uh, Me, Nate, I focus on baseball prospects, baseball rookies, do some podcasts. My brother Sam, he does basketball, rookies and investments, not just rookies, but LeBron, Pascal Siakam, all the way down to
Hmm.
like Cam Reddish. And then Aaron, who started the company, um, focuses mainly on, he'll do some sports, but then focuses mainly on, you know, cards and stuff because he knows a lot about cards that I just did not know. And how we got started was he was always into cards. Like I grew up owning cards, but it was early 2000s, and
Hmm.
you'd go to the shop and pay 25 cents and get a pack, and it was awesome, and you didn't care that all the cards in there were worth 1 cent. You know, you were living the life. And you get out of it once you get more interested into Legos or video games or something. You stop spending your money on cards and you spend your money on that. And then you get older and older and you forget about it completely. Well, Aaron was into cards the entire time. He's like 4 years younger than me, 3.5 years younger than me. But he
How
was
old are you guys?
so I'm 25 and Aaron is going to be turning 22 this summer. I'm 25, but I look like I'm like 35. So I have that benefit going for me, I guess, if you want to call it that. Uh,
Okay.
yes, sir.
No, I just said okay because
Oh,
I
sorry.
hate it on age. That's all.
um, and so he was into cards the entire time, buying, selling, buying boxes, and he was quite bad at it as a kid. I think his best card he ever got was an Eddie Lacy Gold Auto out of 10 from Topps Chrome back in the day. And some guy offered him $800 and he didn't take it. And then I'm pretty sure he sold it for probably like $400, something like that. And he had struggled with it, but kept with it because
Hmm.
everyone that starts out with this makes mistakes and got better. Knew a lot about cards. Was always on blowout forums, um, the whole 9 yards. And one summer, I go visit him and his family, and he's like, Nate, he'd taken a little bit of a hiatus, about 1 year hiatus from cards, and he's like, Nate, I want to buy baseball cards again. Who should I buy? I know you know a ton about baseball. I said, well, if I was going to buy anybody right now, I'd buy Ronald Acuna or Forrest Whitley. And this was right when Ronald Acuna was starting to go up. He was about $120 a Bowman Chrome Auto, and
Hmm.
Forrest Whitley was like $10 a Bowman Chrome Auto. Just came out of the product, and he decided $120 was too much for Ronald Acuna. That's unfortunate.
Hmm.
Uh, and went with Forrest Whitley and made like $6,000 that summer because Forrest Whitley exploded. And from there, we just did it summer after summer and then realized we weren't ever losing any money. We were pretty good at the prospect market. So we figured we don't have enough money to buy all this stuff. Why don't we share the information? And
There
that's
you
how
go.
we got started.
That sounds awesome. Yeah, I mean, more on my end with people that are coming in. It's more of we collected back, in the early '90s. Then we went away for 20 years, and now we have a couple of bucks, and we want to, relive our yesteryear, and so we start buying cards. But we all end up, it seems like, at the same thing. We're all trying to get the newest prospect. We're trying to get the inside information. Be like, look, I knew about this guy when he first came out. I bought him for $5, and now it's worth, God knows how much. And so
Hmm.
I think that everyone can relate to that story. That sounds like so. What teams do you follow? What's your team?
So a number, obviously. Obviously the
Mm-hmm.
Brewers and the Bucks and the Packers. Big Wisconsin roots here. Love them. Love watching Giannis win an MVP and potentially win another MVP. Loved watching Yelich win an MVP and get second in the MVP race last year and then sign a 7-year extension, which I never thought would happen.
Yeah,
Um,
what happened either.
yeah, and for 26 million a year. Like there's plenty of East Coast teams out there that would have spent way more than that to get Yelich on their team. And love watching. Rodgers has been taking a couple steps back, but Loved watching him, win a Super Bowl, get a couple MVPs, and then waste the rest of his prime with terrible teams. And then college
Yeah,
wise,
he's got a
oh,
lovely offensive.
what?
He's got a lovely offensive line for years.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, well, offensive line for the Packers is kind of weird because for a while it was terrible, and he was just running around for his dear
Yeah.
life. And then all of a sudden it got really good, and
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't really need to run around for dear life, but it's like ingrained into him to have to do that and to hold on to the ball forever. And I just, obviously he's 36, going to be 37 next year. You should expect a guy to get worse, but it's tough when you've been watching him for most of your teenage to adult life so far. But
well, I'm a Jet fan,
oh,
so the fact that you have Brett Favre and then Aaron Rodgers, I don't want to hear crap from you.
yeah, the
When you put things
Jets.
in perspective, you know what?
Number one, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's tough. Do you also happen to be like a Knicks fan?
You're damn right I am.
Oh,
But I do see one thing that I am a Yankees fan. Now
okay.
that's not typical. Usually it's the Mets, the Jets, and then the Knicks. So I'm happy about that. At least I get some winning.
Yeah. So
But
you think those people are just uh in it for the punishment? Like they just enjoy misery?
oh, they're masked. They for sure. They wear latex at night and they're just getting beat up. I have. It's just it's rough. It really is. Like just the stupidity on the Knicks and the Jets, and it's just the dumb luck of things happening. Always, happening the wrong way. It's never the good way. And like with the Knicks, we had the worst record. We had all this money in free agency. Everything is looking this way, and just every single thing went wrong. Like and it could only happen to the Knicks. And if it
Yep.
was the Jets, it would be the same thing. If we had somehow we'd go to first pick, the guy we would pick would like break both legs the next day. It just wouldn't work out. So
Yep.
it is what it is. So
That reminds me, if we can take a small tangent here, I saw a tweet today, and it was talking about effective field goal percentage in basketball, and the lowest for the last 3 years, the lowest guy in the NBA was Jordan Poole, rookie for the Warriors this year. The
mhm.
second lowest was Frank Ntilikina. The third lowest was Kevin Knox, and the fourth lowest, R.J. Barrett.
Ugh, both.
So I don't think it's who you're drafting. I just think it's a problem with your development.
Yeah, I mean, we had terrible coaches too, and whatever obvious coach they should pick, I think they should have picked Tom Thibodeau, just because I think he would bring just respect, just some level of respect, or some type of continuity. I think he would just where he goes, players like to play for him. He's tough, but they seem to do better. It just
Yeah.
seems like we get these guys who, coaches who've never coached before, or, there's always questions about them or issues with them. Mark Jackson would have been another guy I would have liked. He did well with Golden State, and then they're just like, all right, here you go, Kerr. Thanks for developing these guys. So it's just but it is what it is. It's my life. So. So, all right. So, Milwaukee, you like the Packers, you like the Brewers. Brewers been changing a lot. Not like they've been winning. They're actually a good organization, good team. Um, I followed you guys. I started getting, watching you guys with regards to prospects, and then I saw a picture of you one time with Gary V, who's a very polarizing person. In the how did that meeting go with Gary V?
Went really well. So, what happened was Aaron saw that Gary Vee posted something about cards on Twitter, and he knew who he was. I had never heard of him, and he saw Gary posted something about Twitter, and he said, "Oh, on Twitter about cards." And he's like, "The next time Gary posts something, I'm gonna try to be one of the first comments and post what we do." And then send him a DM and just hope he sees the comment and then sees the DM and just try to get in contact. And he was like the eighth person on the next post to make a
Mhm.
comment, and Gary did see it and commented back, and then checked his DMs and got in contact with us, and then next thing you know, they were flying us out to New York
Wow.
uh, to meet with them, and that was quite the experience. All the way from uh, taking 2 seconds to get through the Milwaukee airport to taking like 10 hours to get through the New York one,
Yeah.
and the hour and a half taxi ride that cost $70 to go 10 miles, which was mind-boggling when you come from Wisconsin.
Welcome to New York.
Yep.
Yep.
And then the like $16 breakfast that was, I could get the same price for 8 here. But then, that was all the like, wow, this is New York, huh? But then getting to go up into where Gary works at Hudson Yards, just a beautiful complex, unbelievably nice. And then getting to tour around their offices with Lou Janou, for those of you that know him, great guy. And then getting to finally meet with Gary. And we just talked about sports cards and stuff. No, nothing real to report from the actual meeting. He just wanted to
Mhm.
meet us. It was a good time.
That sounds awesome. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Gary Vee. I actually knew him prior to him talking all about sports cards and things like that. So now that he's talking a little bit more, everyone's like, "Oh, this guy's just trying to buy a bunch of cards and get his stupid fans to buy whatever." And he's just being who he is. He's very,
Yeah.
he posts everything. So like, if he goes 7 years from now, 7 years ago, you'll see what he was doing and what he was talking about. And so
Yep.
he's just a transparent type of guy, which
I
sometimes hurts this hobby. Sometimes.
Yeah, I understand where some people are coming from, where it's like, hey, he tweets about somebody, and all of a sudden, a billion people that don't know anything about cards, and Slabstox is in an interesting situation where we'll get DMs from new people all the time, being like, hey, I don't know anything about cards, but I got $3,000 to spend. What should I do? And I'm always like, ooh, or if somebody's like, I got $100 to spend, I'm like, ugh. I was like, I'd rather they know. So, in one sense, I understand that that's probably tough, and that might be a little bit of his doing. On the other end, the people that are like, oh, he's a pump and dumper. Number
Mm-hmm.
one, you got to sell your cards to be a pump and dumper. And number two, why in the world would Gary V, who's worth, if you look at his Forbes price, what he's worth, he's like 100 some million. Why would he be pumping and dumping for $400 on Pete Alonso?
Because he knows. Nah, I don't know. I agree. And you're not arguing with me. It's just it's just it's tough because I think there's a couple of guys. I mean, I know you guys had something where you were, involved with like, you would recommend cards and you're also selling cards, and I know you disassociated yourself with that, and I see it being a problem. Like I see because I'm a small I'm a small time guy. So
Yeah.
whatever I recommend, it ain't gonna move. It actually might go backwards. It might do the opposite, which is probably better. I should do the opposite report. Whatever I say you should invest in, just do the opposite, and you'll have gold. But you guys recommend something, sports card investor and Gary V. It tends to move the chain a little bit, which is good because then you feel good about yourself because you go, hey, what I'm saying actually matters to the sports card world. But I can also see people going, these jerks, they're just trying to sell stuff. So
Yeah.
trying to be transparent, trying to do the right thing, and no matter what you do, you're gonna get screwed.
Yeah,
So
you're gonna
just
lose
do.
no matter what. I
Yep.
mean, and our situation, right? When we started out, we didn't know how much power we'd have,
Mm-hmm.
right? We didn't realize that people would listen to us. So we were just like, hey, we really like this guy. We invested him, you invested him. We all win. People don't like that. And so we're like, all right, we just won't invest. And then we also realized that like some of what we were saying was just becoming self-prophetic. So like I'd be like, hey, invest in so and so. I really like him. And all of a sudden he'd go up by $20 in 2 days. And I was like, wow, I was right. Even
Told
though
you.
even though I wasn't really right, it was just people being like, oh, and it only takes 3 people. three people on eBay to bid up each other, and all of a sudden the whole market moves.
Yep. I agree.
So,
No, I 100% agree. So that's why it's tough doing these things and giving you your advice or what you see. So I try to I still do it, but I try more to go with my methodology of how I come about doing certain things.
yep.
And so I the reason why I bring this up is so you are Mr. Baseball Prospect Man. I'll give you a man. So, what is your thought process when you make decisions to invest in a card? Or if you like, how do you go about? Hey, I think this guy is good. What
Well,
are steps that you take?
there's various steps. So like if it's a really young guy, like Juan Soto a couple of years ago, or or Elvis Martinez this year, or Alexander Canario, somebody like that. If it's really young, I like to do a couple things. So notice him young, and when the market's changed, right? If Alexander Canario come out 2 years ago, he'd be a $10 card. He's a $70 card right now. So it's tough to kind of recalibrate your mind into what is right and what is wrong. But you watch a young guy and you're like, all right, he's doing well. He did well last year. Now his card's out. I like to wait a little bit. I don't want to be the first in the market. You don't make as much money. Like I could have bought in for Juan Soto when he was $70, but I waited and made sure he started off the year well and studied his numbers and then was like, all right, he's 135 bucks. I'll buy in now. I feel very comfortable in him continuing to grow up and get better. Um, so I'm not a big believer in being first to the market. I'm a big believer in being uh, the most secure in my investment, right? There's a lot of people that will drop thousands of dollars on Alexander Canario thinking he might become good, but we really don't know yet until he gets into high A at least, and he was only an A ball. So that's one way I go about young guys. Second way is like I'll look at draft status. So this year, Daniel Espino, for instance, he was in some ways projected to go top 10, you know, uh, as a high school pitcher.
Mm-hmm.
And people do not like taking high school pitchers top 10 generally. And so he drops. Matthew Liberatore last year, he was projected to potentially go number one. He went 15th. I was like, hey, look, he's still really good. He's nasty. The Rays are a really good system. And he still has that talent, just drop because of factors out of his control. I would buy in. Sure enough, he was really good. Now he's traded to the Cardinals. The Cardinals are still a good pitching organization. At the time, I think his autos were like $10. Now they're like 20. So he went up. Daniel Espino, same way. He was picked 24th by the Indians, but his talent level is probably a little bit better than that. I'm willing. Now these are gambles, obviously, but I'm willing to bet that the upside that was there pre-draft, and if you go to a good organization, like I wouldn't do it if he's going to the Mariners, but Indians, Rays, uh, Dodgers, a team like that that's good at developing pitching, I'll take that bet. And so that's the second way is finding that guy that was projected to go higher, trying to figure out why he went lower, and then if there's no real rhyme or reason besides the fact that like he was a high school pitcher, I'll take him and take a chance on him, especially at Daniel Espino was like $10 a base when I started talking about him.
Mm-hmm.
That's not too much money to invest in a guy.
Now, are you mostly buying raw cards, or are you buying graded cards, or are you
So
buying a little bit of both?
so we don't actually buy any cards. It goes back,
Yeah, yeah.
but yeah, just have to point that out because sometimes people are like, "Oh, so you are buying?" No, not buying. But if I were to buy right now, I would buy raw because most of the graded cards you're going to find on this in the new 2019 Bowman Chrome draft market specifically are going to be BGS because they got back quicker. And if there's anything I've learned from doing uh, sending out our eBay links every day and pouring through eBay at 2 hours every single night for like the last 8 months, is that PSA, and everyone knows this, but PSA outsells BGS by a significant margin
Yep.
almost every card. I mean, Tom Brady, obviously an all-time great, not really comparable to a Daniel Espino type, but his PSA 10s sell for $1,000 more than his BGS 95s.
Yeah, I don't know why people insist on getting Beckett BGS because yes, a BGS 10 is worth way more than a PSA 10, but how often does that happen? And you're paying almost double the amount, to get
Yeah,
the card graded. I mean, you'll get it a little bit sooner, but I'd rather wait the month or
and I think
two.
that's the thing is that people who want to flip and don't want to wait for uh, PSA will take the, you know, 40% boost over raw instead of just selling raw. What's interesting is I've only sent one card to BGS in my entire life, and it was because I pulled a Vlad Guerrero Topps Chrome Sapphire card out of a box in Florida,
Wow.
uh, put it in a case, got it home, took it to Aaron. He said, "You know what? I think this card is flawless. I'd send this to BGS," and he'd never suggest sending something to BGS. Sends it in, gets a 10.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like my
Wow.
only one and only nice card.
Yeah, no, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna say I'm fairly decent at grading cards. If I'm looking at a card, I think, I get like maybe 70% PSA 10s.
It's pretty good.
But Beckett, I there's no way, like, for me to get a 9.5 or a 10. I've never gotten a 10. And, I used to send the autograph cards because when I first came in, they said, all right, the older cards or cards that are not autographed, send to PSA. The autograph cards, the Bowman, the prospects, you send to BGS, and they'll grade the card and grade the auto. Now I don't see why it's even. I would just send everything to PSA, just
Yeah.
graphs everything because it's just you're gonna get top dollar for it.
Yep. I would agree. The only reason, like literally the only reason is if you think it can get a 10. Like if you think there's a better chance than not of getting a 10, send it into BGS. Otherwise, it's a waste of money. You're
Okay.
just
Yeah,
lost.
no, I agree.
Yep.
All right, so you have that. Now, what tools or websites do you use to like further? You're saying you're looking at prospects and you're seeing, guys who may be undervalued due to really just perception. You
Mm-hmm.
know, there's a high school guy, Matthew Libertorn in particular. I invested in him a little bit. Um, so what? How do you go further in your, trying to tell people what to invest in?
So obviously, the two biggest ones I use and the two best tools I believe are A, Fangraphs, which I think you'd agree with.
Yes,
Um, their prospect tools they have are unbelievable. Now, it was a little bit better when they had both Kylie McDaniel and Eric Longenhagen doing prospect stuff. You like two eyes, two sets of eyes more than one. Uh, Kylie left for ESPN.
Hmm.
So that's unfortunate, but still their prospect board and everything, they cover, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of prospects, scouting grades. You can find all their stats on there. You can find a bunch of advanced stats on there, which is nice. So Fangraphs is the big one, especially because they have weekly chats. It was better when they had two, but they still have one with Eric Longenhagen, and you can ask him any questions. So if you have a specific question you're looking to get answered about a prospect, he can usually answer it for you because he is in contact with not only scouts himself, but also is in contact with a ton of scouts. So he has just probably an endless amount of information written up on almost all the players out there and updates it. So that's a nice source right there. And number two, and this is probably the best one for up to date information, is just Twitter. If you follow the right guys on Twitter, you will see things that you might not find otherwise unless you're specifically looking up his name on Google. So like uh, UC Kikuchi for the Mariners that came over last year. Uh, I'm on Twitter the other day, putzing around, and I see that he has increased his fastball velocity and he's consistently hitting 96 with a 91, 92 mile per hour slider, which is way better than last year when he was averaging like 93 miles per hour. I'm not saying invest in Kikuchi, but it is interesting. Uh, Same way like last year, Frankie Montas. I would never have looked up Frankie Montas. He's a ex pitching prospect that hadn't done anything in a couple of years and was kind of a failure. And all of a sudden, I'm seeing some things about he added a splitter and his fastball velocity was up to like 98 and he was controlling it. I said, "Oh, this is interesting." And I went online and I just took a gamble and bought a bunch of like very low end. I mean, I got a gold Bowman Chrome Gold non-auto for like $1 out of 50.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was like, all right, I'll do that. And sure enough, he was going to go to the All-Star game and his prices were going up. Not a ton. It takes a while for those guys to increase in price. Um, those random non-prospects. It takes
Hmm.
a lot for people to pay attention. But if you're taking $1 and making it $5, you do that a bunch of times over and you're still sitting pretty. You're still making 400% or whatever. So, a guy like that, and then obviously he got popped for PEDs, and down went my cards in flames. And you just obviously I only had like $50 invested in him, and it was just a fun play, a nice play for me to be able to follow along and really get excited every time he pitched. Uh, but you're not going to win them all, and even if you make the right call, sometimes it's the wrong call because I was just going to wait for the All Star game and then see what happened. Maybe sell, maybe just keep. But he took that out of my hands with a PD uh, suspension that I would never have seen coming.
Well, maybe you should have because he's now throwing 98 and
Well, well. The issue was he used to be able to get it up to 100. It was more along the lines of throwing 98 with longevity, which I guess I should have seen.
I'm joking with you. No,
Added strength, but yeah.
no, I definitely, and I would have been on a podcast and I would see, I told you, and then when the PD would have happened, I probably would have deleted the previous podcast so no one knew that I said that.
Disappear into the background.
Yeah, like I don't even know what you're talking about. So
Never
yeah,
heard
no.
of that guy in my life.
So Fangraphs and Twitter. Okay, I agree with both. Like Twitter, with more with regards to sports cards, I follow a lot of breakers and things like that. So there's one guy, Brent Williams. I think the guy's Brent Williams. And they start opening cards and they notice things when they're opening it up. So it's interesting. Like when last year Topps Update came out, and the card stock was thinner than the other cards. So they said it's probably going to be a little bit harder because I'm opening these cards up and I'm getting a lot of dings. I'm getting a lot of this because the stock is thinner. That's
Hmm.
something that's good to know when you are trying to go after a PSA 10. They may be a little bit tougher for those rookie cards. It might not be as many.
Maybe
So
that's why Keston here doesn't have as many graded cards. I never knew why.
yeah, no, and so I agree with Twitter. It's just you have to figure out who the hell to follow. That's really what it comes down to.
Yep.
All right, so now one of the questions I had that now I can't because you guys really are not selling cards anymore. So I was going to ask you where do you guys use to sell cards and you don't really use it anymore. I'm guessing most of the
Well,
time it's in
I
eBay.
I would say this. It was eBay. I would never, unless you really, really, really trust somebody and know they're not going to try to screw you over, I would not use Instagram because I've seen so many people being like, "Oh, I sold this card to this guy on Instagram and he never paid, and now I'm out $800." Blah 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 blah. That's just not worth the risk. I'd rather lose the 10% and guarantee I'm getting my money on eBay than, uh, trying to make the every last penny. But that's just me.
Yeah, Instagram. If you do PayPal, you do goods and services, you're protected. So most of the time when that happens is people doing friends and family because you're doing the favor. A guy will make it cheaper.
Yep.
Because they'll save that 10% from eBay and they'll save the 3% from the PayPal fees. So they'll make it a little bit cheaper to entice people. And that's where people get screwed.
Yep.
So if you do it, I've sold some on Instagram and I definitely have heard horror stories from Instagram as well. But every single one of them has been, well, I use friends and family to get it a little bit cheaper. don't ever do that. Just, use the goods and services, because then if they don't send you the card, you just PayPal is pretty, buyer friendly, and they'll just say, all right, stop the payment, take the money out of this guy's, that's it, call it a day.
On the
So,
other end of the spectrum, how do you stop somebody from being like, "Oh, I never received the card," even though they did, and getting refunded?
um, tracking.
Okay, that makes sense.
But even still, and this is both eBay and Instagram, there's been times where people have tracking and someone insists they never got it, and they still side with the person who said who didn't get it. So it's not always, it's always dangerous. Dangerous. That's why it's good to, if you do it with a reputable guy and not someone who just started their account, um, use common sense.
Yeah,
You know,
make sure.
things like that. If this guy's been doing 1,000, has 10,000 users, I don't think he's going to try to screw you over, because it'll ruin his reputation.
Yep, don't want that. It takes a long time, as Aaron and I can attest. We might have been a little quicker than everyone else to 10,000, but it still took us a good year and a couple months to get to that point, and there's no chance we'd want to ruin that goodwill by screwing somebody over. So yeah, use somebody that has a lot of followers, because that takes a long time to get.
Yeah, I've been over a year and I got 850. So shut up.
Oh, well,
I don't post that much. That's my thing. I don't post that much. And Instagram, if you talk to Gary Vee, it's a numbers game. You got to keep posting constantly.
yep. They believe in literally everything is content, and you might fail on 50%, but as long as you hit on some, you're good.
Yep. So there's that. So yeah, I give people good advice, but heaven forbid I actually follow it. So it is what it is. Some people have this on Instagram. I know that it's real simple. You just watch someone else who has a ton of followers, and a lot of people do there's a lot of breakers on Instagram that
Hmm.
just go, they don't even mess with eBay, and they're doing real well. And it's just them putting in the work. So it is what it is. So now I'm going to move on to prospects to invest in the minors. This is the chutzpah. This is the stuff that people want from you.
Okay.
They do, because I've talked to people that said this is what we want.
Okay. I like it.
Give me.
Well, where should we begin?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. That's a very broad. I'm going to say this: not guys who are going to be in the majors this year.
okay. That helps. Well, for starters, there's we'll just kind of go through. There's various guys I really like. Obviously, some of them are going to be no-brainers. Be like, yeah, duh. And some of them will be a little bit on the I may not have heard of that guy. Uh, and we'll see. So obviously, right, if you have the funds, invest in Wander Franco. I don't think that's a shocking revelation by any means. He's
You're
really,
really
really,
going out on a limb on that one.
yeah, he's really, really expensive, but also he's really good. And people, he went down like he was like half price in October, November of what he was now. And people were complaining that an 18-year-old in high A wasn't hitting enough home runs.
Heaven forbid.
Like high A, the toughest place to play in the minors, and you're 18 and you hit like 9 home runs. Oh no.
Why is
Uh,
it so tough? Why is it tough in high A?
they just have the Carolina leagues and the Florida State leagues just have giant parks.
Okay.
Just huge, huge parks and damp conditions with the humidity and stuff. So it's not a great place to play for. It's a good place to play for pitchers, not for hitters. So if you find a hitter doing really well there, you're in good shape. And
That's
so,
good. I know that. So that's good. Okay.
yeah.
Cool.
So Wander Franco, obviously. Uh, Marco Luciano, Giants shortstop prospect. He's probably ranked like 25th right now on MLB Pipeline. Might be a little higher than that or lower than that on Fangraphs. Uh, if you read some of the write-ups on him, he's got like some of the quickest hands in the world. The ball just jumps off his bat. he can play shortstop right now if he can stick at shortstop and his bat continues to progress. Once Franco gets called up, I would not be shocked if Luciano is the number one prospect. But his prices have also jumped up. He's probably around 200 and some dollars a base auto right now. So there's that. I would have said Julio Rodriguez. I've been pumping Julio Rodriguez for over a year now. He came out at $120. I told people he was going to be a $400 guy. Like I'm usually not that confident or overconfident. I'm usually confident, but I'm not like overconfident where I'm like,
Mhm.
yes, this guy is going to hit this specific benchmark for price. Uh, I'm not usually like that, but with Julio, I looked at him, I looked at his bat, I looked at like how he's going to trend, and not to bring race into it, but people seem to really like to invest in foreign-born players more so than American-born. And Julio Rodriguez had that going for him.
The mystery. It's the mystery of not knowing, what he's all about. They don't know what he was doing on that island or wherever he came from.
Yep.
That's
So
great.
yeah, I don't actually know where Julio Rodriguez is from, but you know he had all that going for him, and I was like, this guy's going to be a $400 guy. I thought it was going to be $400 by midseason this year. One was just finished a couple days ago at like $396. So you can basically round up, and he's already a $400 guy. How confident am I for him going from 400 to 600? Not overly. He's not a guy that's going to be the number one prospect in baseball ever because of position and because of athleticism. He's merely a probably going to be an average left fielder with a great bat.
Mhm.
So, you drop him off the list. Jordan Groshans is a guy that I'm really excited about. Shortstop prospect, third base prospect for the Blue Jays. Obviously, you can really kind of get lost in the sauce with the Blue Jays with having Vlad and having Kevin Biggio and having Bo Bichette, Nate Pearson, all those guys. It's not shocking to see a guy kind of get lost in the shuffle, which I'm a little worried about with Jordan Groshans. But the kid was really, really good last year and then got injured. If he didn't get injured, he's probably a top 50 prospect. Right now, he's sitting back end 70s. He's $50, a base auto 55. I would not be shocked to see him a $100 base auto guy by midseason. Wouldn't shock me at all. Unless, of course, he gets injured again. Injuries are always a concern when you start out young and get injured. You look at Nick Senzel for the Reds, and he's been injured every single year. Top 5 prospect, really good, can't stay on the field. Eventually, you have to be like, well, I'm not going to put my money into that because you need to play games to make money. As simple as that.
Yep.
Uh, but Jordan Groshans is somebody I'm really excited about. I think for sure if he continues to hit like he did last year, he's definitely $100 guy, and you're basically doubling up your money right now. Going on from there, your Jared Kalenics, really good, really young. Just watch him hit a massive home run in spring training the other day. There's still room to grow there. Your one guy your lesser known guys like Jordan Adams. I don't know if
Mhm.
you know Jordan Adams. So
Angels.
yes, Angels outfield prospect. Angels are really good at developing hitting prospects lately. In the last couple of years, your Brandon Marshes, your Joe Adells, your Taylor Wards, um, guys like that.
Before you go on Ad, what do you think about Adele?
I love Joe Adell. I really, really like Joe Adell. I I don't know how I feel about his prices, obviously, because he has the half of his cards got destroyed, right?
Oh, I don't
Uh,
know. I
oh,
didn't
you,
know about.
you didn't? Okay, so what happened with Joe Adell is he has everything up until black. Well, he has his base, he has his gold, I believe, orange, but he doesn't have like green or blue or purple or refractor. Those all got destroyed, and potentially some of his base got destroyed in transit, and they just never remade him or made
They're
him.
just like, ah. Better.
re-signed.
Oh, that's
So
crazy. I did
yeah,
not know because I know his prices were extremely high, like
yeah,
insanely high, and I guess that's. I know he's a really good prospect, so I just thought, all right, well, there's that. But now you have that added scarcity, which is, I guess, good.
yeah. $800, a base auto, and you're like, why is he 800? But uh, Julio Rodriguez is 200. How's this make any sense? And there you go, scarcity. But on the other end of the spectrum, I'm a little worried because I know it's scarce, but it's still a ton of money for a guy who is extremely athletic, has an absolute ton of power, should be a really good outfielder. Like he's a five-tool guy, but how often do we watch these tooled up outfielders fail?
Yep.
Quite a bit. So there's always risk. There's always risk.
Uh,
Um,
all right, so back to Mr. Adams.
yeah. So Jordan Adams, uh, two-way player in high school, focuses on was supposed to go to North Carolina as a wide receiver and to play baseball. So, most of the kids in Texas and the Californias, uh, places like that, they just focus on one sport all year round. Texas kids, baseball, 24/7, 365. And we could go back and forth all day on the benefits or detractors of that because, I think it's good for kids to play multiple sports and to give certain muscle groups a break. Not that I'm a scientist by any means or a doctor, but Jordan Adams playing two sports well behind his age group for development uh, because of that fact, like being really good at two sports. And so he gets drafted by the Angels the first round. And I'm like, you know what? I will always bet on the athlete figuring it
Mhm.
out. If you're good enough to play two sports at the college level, you're probably going to be good enough to figure out baseball eventually, especially if you have any amount of skill, especially skill to get you drafted in the first round. So I was
Okay.
excited about him, and he did pretty well, considering his background, right? Uh, if you give me 1 second, I'll pull up some numbers here just to give you a little bit of a brief background. So last year he made it all the way up to high A, which is pretty good for being a 19-year-old, and he only had 40 plate appearances, and he hit 229 with a 325 on base and a 400 slugging. And in A ball, he had 97 games, hit 250, 346, 358 slugging for a 703 OPS and a 725 OPS and A plus. Now those numbers don't jump off the page to you at all. If it was a Riley Green from last year, you'd be like, ugh, those numbers are bad. I'm not investing in him. But because of his background and because of his athletic ability, I think he will figure it out because of the Angels. So I like him. His prices have gone up. He was at like $20 a base auto. Now I believe he's at like 30. You're looking at a little bit more for PSA 10s, but still an interesting guy. A long-term play though. He's a very long-term play.
Now,
Um,
when you're looking, when you go to Fangraphs, what
yeah.
numbers are you really focusing on? What's the numbers that are jumping out to you that you really try to say, all right, because this. Now I know there's not one. You know, everyone goes, oh, what should I be looking at that will unlock the key to investing? But what what are the stats that you're looking at as an aggregate?
Yeah, I guess there's no real uh one way, right? Every prospect is different.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, you try to find things that match up. I like to try to find things that match up with their scouting report. So you go to the top of the page at Fangraphs and you got a scouting report. Jordan Adams, 50 hit, 50 game power, 80 speed, 60 fields, 50 throw, 50 future value. I like to look at his frame. It's got him listed at 6'2", 180. So I'm looking at that. I'm like, all right, 180 pounds for a 6'2 guy, pretty small. If he adds 20 pounds, gets to 6'2", 200, a little bit more power there. I can see that happening. Might come at a loss of speed, but if he's already got top line speed, then 20 extra pounds. If he goes from an 80 out of an 80 on the 20/80 scale to a 70 out of 80, that's still insanely good. for
Yeah.
added power, I'll take that. And then from there, you just try to kind of look at some numbers. So one big the big thing for me, walk percentages and strikeout percentages. So Jordan Adams struck out 35% of the time last year in high A in 40 plate appearances. That's very bad.
Yeah, that's high.
But he walked 12.5%, and before that point, his highest strikeout percentage was 22% in A ball in 97 games, 428 appearances. So I'm more willing to overlook an outlier like that, 35%. I don't think that happens again. He might be a guy that is slow developing every level he goes up. So, get to a new level, takes a little bit, then hits really well, get to a new level. And those guys are scary when they hit the majors, but you can always sell before that point, right? So walking K rate, a big one for me. That I think that is not shocking by any means. And then, a couple other ones that I like to check is if he's striking out a lot, why? And you can't really. The problem is that's more useful for guys in the majors. Like if I'm looking at a guy like a Max Kepler last year, who I was high on, you know, why is he struggling? Look at the numbers, dive into the zone contact rates and stuff. But you don't get that for minor leaguers. So then I'll go to like looking at his line drive rates, looking at his ground ball rates, looking at his fly ball rates. You can get all that. Looking at his pull and center and oppo contact rates, you can get that. It's a little bit more tough with minor leaguers. Like major leaguers, rookies, there's a lot more stats to go off of to try to project if he's going to keep it up or if he's just a flash in the pan.
And
Um,
Fangraphs also has that information for the majors.
Fangraphs has that information for the majors. It does not have it for the minors.
Got it. No, no. I just want to make sure it was the same website, just so
Yeah.
people are looking.
So they're really good for that. As for rookies, really, I mean, as for prospects, really what it is just trying to get a picture of him with his scouting report, trying to get a picture with him with, like, you can't just go off of Fangraphs, right? That's impossible. You can look at his scouting report, but that's only one or two guys. You can look at his stats, but you can be misled by stats all day long. So
Mm-hmm.
you gotta look at specific stats, be like, okay, I like this guy. Now let's find out what other people are saying about him, and then just go and dive in. Find his name, look up his name on Twitter, see what people are saying, see if he had a swing change, see if he added muscle, see if he, if somebody knows his work ethic, and you're like, all right, this guy has amazing work ethic. Uh, I'm
Yeah,
willing to,
you don't want him taking selfies at midnight,
yeah,
with chicks,
no,
Well, maybe you
which,
do.
which
Maybe you do, but you wouldn't want to invest in them.
No, yeah, and you can. That's the nice thing about social media is like a guy like Wander Franco. I love him, and he's really good, and I think you should invest in him. But there's also some risk because he posts a lot of pictures of him drinking beer, and he's, 18 years old. Uh,
That's no bueno.
no, so there's some risk there where you're like, where is his priorities at? But to this point, he hasn't slowed down. I think he'll. Everyone matures as they age, right? So
Mm-hmm. Now, where are you at with regards to pitchers? I know there's a lot of people who steer clear of them.
I love love pitchers.
Okay.
Um, how do you feel about him? Let me get your take on him.
My take is, I think they're in. I think you can make money from them, but I would always suggest getting batters because they just injury wise they don't get injured as much as pitchers, and it seems like I was high on what's his name, Jordan Gilbert.
Mm-hmm.
He was pitching well, and then boom, he gets hurt. Um, Luzardos, I was big on, and I liked. And actually, I think I got that from you. And then I, dove in a little bit and was looking, and then boom, he got hurt. And it just seems like more and more of these prospects, um, they do really well, and then it's just an injury. It's I don't, and that's my fear.
I
Um,
would I would agree. I would agree.
so I think you can make money, but I don't think they go for as high as hitters. Because they don't play every day, and I always say middle-aged men love the long ball because everyone loves home runs, and but I I think you can make money, but I don't think it's going to be as dramatic as a hitter.
Yeah, the top end dollar not nearly as high, right? You can have a Julio Rodriguez go from 120 to $400 in 10 months. You're never going to get that out of a pitcher. But like last year, uh, and I'll explain this guy, and then I'll explain why I like pitching. Uh, Josiah Gray, pitcher for the Dodgers, or was a draft pick, second round draft pick by the Reds, got traded to the Dodgers in that ill-fated Jeter Downs and uh, Josiah Gray for Puig and Alex Wood and whoever else was in that deal, Matt Kemp.
This is
Um,
everyone.
terrible deal for the Reds. They're going for it, but now Josiah Gray and Jeter Downs are top 100 prospects, and they have nothing to show for it. Um, but props to them for going for it. And so Josiah Gray was on nobody's radar. I told Aaron, I said, hey, I like Josiah Gray. We should tell people about him. And he said, Jeter Downs? And I said, no, Josiah Gray. And he said, I have no idea who that is. And he was a Division II college pitcher that had just started pitching his junior year, was pretty stinking good at it, despite having no training whatsoever,
Mm-hmm.
threw really hard. I was like, all right, this is the perfect situation. Here's the Dodgers that are really good at developing pitching, and here's a guy who's basically a blank slate. He has no bad habits. He throws really hard. He has no bad habits whatsoever because he hasn't really been trained to pitch. So now, if you're going to make a statue, you're not going to make a statue out of an already formed statue, right? You're going to make it out of blank clay, and that's what Josiah Gray was in my mind. And sure enough, he went from $3 an auto all the way up to $26 an auto last year. So you could have bought in all day. You could have bought, 33 Josiah Gray autos for $100 and sold out for like 1,000, a little bit less.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. So there's upside there, especially with the really cheap guys. Like the really cheap guys, you hit on those, it's really good. If you're buying Casey Mize for $60, that's a lot riskier. But the reason I like pitching is because in my mind the risk is already factored in. If you have a top 10 pitching prospect, a top 10 prospect who happens to be a pitcher in the minors, their top price is $40-$50, somewhere in there. And if you have that same player as a position player, or prospect as a position player, their minimum price is $150. So the risk is already built in. I just think it's way easier nowadays, especially for new people coming in that don't have a ton of money. Like you come into the game and Alexander Canario is $70, and he's a huge risk. Or Elvis Martinez is like 90, 80. Like those are huge risks.
Yep.
Noelvi Marte was $120 out of the gate, and he hadn't even played outside of the Dominican Summer League. Like investing in rookie ball stats is tough. Investing in A ball stats is tough. Investing in Dominican Summer League stats is insane, especially for $120. So like coming into the game right now, it's hard to find young new guys that are not already outrageously priced, which is where turning to pitchers is a good way for somebody who's budget conscious to be able to still enjoy the hobby and still make some money while not breaking the bank.
You've changed my mind.
Hey, yes.
You blew
That's
my
my
mind and you changed. Well, because I do invest in some pitchers. Like I said, I saw who was the other Matthew Liberatore. I invested in because you can get him for $15, and it's basically what you said is what I did, but I didn't realize that it was just the risk that was baked into it, and that's why the prices were so low. It had nothing to do with, they're on par with everyone else that you're talking about, hitting wise, with regards to talent and to make it to the majors. It's just everyone's scared, like myself, of the injury. So it makes perfect sense. So I'm back on it. I'm back on it.
I like it. I wish there was one guy we've been on for years was Nate Pearson of the Blue Jays, and this was literally the year after his. It was like March, the year after his draft. We're just getting into the start of the season, and I'm talking to Aaron. I said, Aaron, this Nate Pearson kid, he's not ranked right now. He was just drafted, but I think he's going to blow up big time. He's like, really? I was like, yeah. And he's like, let's get one. I said, okay. That night, a red wave was ending out of 5. We bought it, $300. And he was doing well and then got injured, like you were talking about. And we're like, dang it. Now we got to hold on to this card for longer. And the prices didn't go up. And then last season, he pitched, 5 innings, then 2 innings, then 5 innings, then 2 innings to stay healthy. And he's throwing almost 100 miles per hour consistently. His slider is absolutely nasty. He has really, really good command for a kid that's throwing 100. And all of a sudden, he's destroying guys, striking them out, and his prices are rising. And his base went from $10. And when we told people to buy him, it was like, hey, look at this guy. And this is another way you can look at it. And I think it would be a good information for you and your listeners, is that I was looking at Nate Pearson. I was like, all right, look at his pitches, look at his command. I was like, at the very least, if he doesn't pan out as a pitcher, he looks like he's going to be one of the best relievers in baseball.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Josh Hader, right? Best reliever in baseball. His base autos were $15. At the time, Nate Pearson was $10 to $15. I was like, at the very least, you buy in now. He doesn't become a great pitcher. He becomes a great reliever, and you lose a couple bucks tops, right? But if he hits on his considerable potential, then you are golden. Well, he hit on his considerable potential. He went up from $10 to $15 to $45 in the summer. And then he pitched in the spring training just the other day, and people were popping his base autos for like $70. So that's another way you can look at some pitchers is, hey, they got nasty stuff. At the very least, their floor is this. This is the floor for the prices on those. I put in $10 now. I might lose $2 here or there on per card, but I won't lose it all.
Yeah, it makes total sense, and that's the other thing I really like about investing in prospects is it's not a right away situation. It could be 2-3 years down the line, and you just go, oh, I heard this guy. I think I got one of his cards, and you go back to your boxes or whatever, and you go, look, this is awesome. I got 10 of these. Like that's really what I like about it as well. It's the unknown factor, and if you just hold on to your cards, because heaven forbid I throw away any of my cards or sell them. But it's another fun aspect of, I think I have that, and then you tell everyone, oh, I knew because I held. You can lie. It's a great way to lie about things. So I'm all about that.
Hey, make you look better. That's what I always say.
That's all I'm really about. Just trying to make myself look better. So so we talked about some prospects, rookies. Now we have the main guys that are coming out. We'll go through that. The main guys, who do you think is going to be the top rookies this year, and maybe some guys that no one's really heard about that still maybe that will be considered rookie this year as well?
Whew, that is a good one.
Thank you.
Yes. So obviously you've got the top guys. Your Luis Roberts, your Carter Kybooms. Those guys are going to be number one, guaranteed a position coming out of spring training. Luis Roberts should be the White Sox starting center fielder, especially now that he signed an extension. There's no reason for them to keep him in the minors.
Mm-hmm.
So he'll get a full year of service time here and a full year to put up stats. Carter Kybooms, same way. He played a little bit last year, didn't get his rookie time taken away, or didn't get his rookie, whatever. I'm looking for a word. I can't find it. But he's going to be a rookie again this year, even despite playing last year. And they have third base open with Anthony Rendon gone, so he's going to be their third baseman. It's his to lose. So he will get a full year of stats as well. So you're always looking at those guys. Obviously, Carter Kyboom already has his rookie cards, which is nice. Luis Robert does not, and we just talked about how it's coming out in Topps opening day, which is 2 per case, which is scary because Topps opening day is a trash product. And
Yes,
if
it
you're
is.
buying it for specifically one guy who has 2 cards in every case of product that comes out, you're most likely not going to hit it.
I
Um,
agree.
so it'd be much more worthwhile to go on eBay afterwards and just buy the ones that get put up.
Yes, that's definitely what you should do, but no one's going to listen. So everyone's going to be going to buy these boxes
Yes.
for $30.
Yeah. All right. Oof. Oof. What a waste of money. Um, and so, it's those guys, the Gavin Luxes of the world. As for your second part of your question, who's going to be sneak in there and surprise some people? I wish I could help you out, but I just don't know. Like I would never have said, "Oh, you know what? Luis Arias last year, he's going to be really good."
Well,
I,
one guy that I thought, and it's mostly just because of his home run numbers, Sam Hillard from the
okay.
Rock.
Yep.
I didn't know much about him, but then I just was doing research and I saw I was like, he had like 20 something home runs or 30 home runs in the minors, and I was like, and I think now I think he has his rookie cards that are coming out now, or he's going to be playing. I think he's going to be with the Rockies starting. I'm not too sure now. Like that's some of the guys is who I'm thinking of.
Okay. Yeah, I'm always a little worried, Rocky players, right? They just they just cannot get away from that stigma of Coors Field. No matter what they do, there will always be Brendan Rodgers is in the same boat here where he has his rookie cards out, but he's going to be a rookie this year. And I just don't know if you can, like, if there's somebody who's close to as good as you, I don't know if you can win awards, uh, or even get the collector's imagination with playing in Coors.
Yeah, no, the fact I think Nolan Arenado should be worth way more than what he is, and I
Yeah,
think that's
90 bucks a PSA 10 for Nolan.
stupid.
Yeah. I mean,
But
he's
also,
really,
if he gets traded and he doesn't put up these numbers, everyone's gonna be, see, told you.
you know, I understand career-wise his away numbers aren't spectacular. I mean, they're fine. They're not 1,000 OPSs, right? But last year he had an 899 OPS away from Coors, almost 900. And you got to remember he plays in San Francisco for like 9 games. He plays in San Diego for 9 games. He plays against the Dodgers and they're really good pitching staff for 9 games away from Coors. Um, so like there's the Diamondbacks are a good team. Like he's got some good teams or just some really big parks to play against away for a significant portion of his games, and he still had a 900 OPS. I don't understand. I understand the Coors effect, but there's a stigma there that just is like outrageous. $90 for a dude who's been one of the best third basemen in the game for the last like 6 years.
No, no, yeah, so him and Trevor Story is another guy that and it's not to Nolan Arenando's extent, but his cards go for nothing,
Yep.
and I don't get it.
And
And that's one thing I will never get is it seems like people are more into the hype of a player than more into them actually doing it. Like they're like he's gonna hit 30 home runs, and then he hits 30 home runs. They're like, yeah, so what?
yep. That, and you see that with everything, right? Playing is only part of the equation here for card collecting. If you play well but have no publicity behind you, Kawhi Leonard, for an instance, your cards are undervalued, but not because uh, of it's because like Kawhi's personality and how he acts and everything. People just don't love Kawhi. They like him as a player, but they don't love him as a personality. You got to have that personality to also be able to sell cards. And he just doesn't have it. A couple other guys, should be higher priced, but they just don't have it for whatever reason. And then you look at guys that are fine, you know, uh, uh, John Morant, big personality, really good, pretty good stats, but nowhere near Kawhi, and yet he's going for $350, $400 a PSA 10, something like that.
I love Kawhi, and just going on basketball a little bit. His cards, his silvers, his base should be insanely. They're expensive, but they should be even more expensive just because of
Yep.
how rare they are. They're hard to get, and not yeah. Basketball is a different beast. I was going to talk to you about it, but you know what? Baseball's good enough. This is your wheelhouse. I'm not gonna throw you into the basketball ring, but yeah. So now cards. People are going to just be sticking with Bowman to invest. Are there other cards that you suggest in getting into?
Um, Outside of Topps flagship rookies, no. Like obviously Topps has, their Transcendence and their Luminaires and stuff like that, but I just don't like that stuff. I think it's cool if you want like a sweet card for your collection. Resale value's just not there, especially for the price point. I think for baseball, for the foreseeable future, things change, things always change. For the foreseeable future, I think the only thing you should really be looking at is Bowman Chrome prospects and Topps flagship rookies. And it's actually kind of interesting because it used to be Bowman firsts were a really good investment and pretty a better investment than a Topps rookie. But now I feel like that's swinging the other way. But still,
You think?
yeah. With
No, I'm talking about autographs. Or are you just
oh,
talking about
oh
just
yeah, yeah.
card?
I'm just talking about cards.
Oh
Autograph
yeah,
wise, yeah, just
yeah,
Bowman
yeah,
Chrome.
yeah. Yeah. Well, I agree with you. To be honest with you, I don't. Bowman first, obviously. Bowman rookie cards really, I don't think really moved the needle that much.
They don't.
Uh, Even when I started collecting, which was a year and change ago, I remember Bowman rookie cards were like, hey, you should be buying those instead of the flagship. I don't think that's the case anymore at all.
It is not. Flagship is hot as can be. I mean, you can get a green Ronald Acuna uh, rookie auto from Bowman out of 99, right, for $550 right now on eBay type of thing, which you're thinking to yourself, man, I know green autos aren't as hot. Blues always
Yep.
outprice them. People just don't like greens. They don't really like blacks. They don't like gold shimmers or blue waves. They got their preferences, and we'll see how those preferences change with all the new people joining. People just might not care. They might just care about the number. Lower the number, the better, instead of the original card as opposed to the colors Topps added in.
Yeah.
Uh,
When I first got into this, I didn't realize that. And I was like, it's a wave. It's a blue wave. It must be more money than the solid one because it just looks cooler. I had no idea that, no, they don't go for as much as it's not even close. No,
yep.
nobody likes them. And I was like, well, then now I have to not like them.
They don't even go for as much as like purples
Yeah,
sometimes.
no, when you're first getting in, like you don't realize that stuff. Just a
Yeah.
shimmer. Oh, that's got to be like better than a solid card. No, and boy, was I wrong.
But here's the thing: there's a lot of people like you got into it. How many years ago? Did you say?
Uh, year and a half,
Okay,
almost.
so you got into it a year and a half ago. Um, there's a lot of people, right, that are like you that are getting back into it, but just on a much bigger scale. So they won't realize, like you didn't realize, that blue waves are not a hot commodity. And if they don't realize it, they could move the whole market on it.
That's true. That
So,
is true. I got my kids in the background. You bastards. They don't realize I'm trying to conduct business.
well, I can't hear them, so you're good there.
Oh, that's good. Well, then I'm just talking nonsense. So yeah, what about heritage?
I like, but I don't want to offend Tyler Wagner here. He's a big heritage guy, but I like it from like a look, and I like the real one autos, and the red inks are really nice. Red inks will always sell. The real
Mm-hmm.
one autos will sell, but they're just I don't think they're ever going to catch up.
I,
Right.
I, I, I'm with you with regards to the autographs. I think the rookie cards are better than Bowman rookie cards, but obviously not the flagship, rookie cards. And I'm not talking. And I think actually the action variations are the ones that people really like, and I think those are the ones that are going to do really well.
Yeah, if
Moving
we can
forward.
expand on that a little bit, action variations seem like everyone's going after Ronald Kuna Topps Update PSA 10s.
Yep.
$250 or whatever they're at right now. They might have gone down a little bit in the last couple days, but
It got hit 3, and now everyone's like, "This is all right. What are we doing here?"
yeah. So and so like you can do that for $250, or you can buy a action variation of Ronald Acuna for PSA 10 for 700. I would do that all day. Or you get the non-graded action variations of like Pete Alonso for 30, $40 instead of the PSA 10 base Topps Series 2 for 60.
Yeah.
Like I think the action variation, I like that you brought that up because I wasn't even thinking about it. But the action variation is definitely I think undervalued right now, and I think as more people get into it, they will realize that.
I'm hoping. Well, I really haven't invested too much because I'm always like, well, there's just too much money. I don't want to do that. I'm going to get the cheaper. I'm going to get the
Hmm.
standard stuff. But I've just been noticing that more and more the action variations just they look nicer for one thing, and they're harder to get, so you have some scarcity in it, and it seems like there's definitely a market. It's always the seems like the one that's always hot and popular and people are bidding on. So that's what I just noticed. Um, so yeah, all right. So we're sticking to Bowman. For prospects, it's first Bowman. Bowman's best. I think I saw that you guys spoke about like Bowman's best being a good percentage wise. They did the same as Bowman first cards. It's just you're not making that much. They're going for
Yeah,
a lot less.
you're not making that much, and also way tougher to move unless you're Mike Trout, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have a Bowman's best Mike Trout from back in the day, and you're doing fine. Otherwise, it's a tougher sell. You can always move your Bowman. You can always move your Topps flagship, Bowman's best, or Bowman Platinum if that's still even around.
Yeah.
Things like that. Yeah, you can make money. You buy an all-time great, and sure, you're going to make money in 10 years. Ronald Acuna keeps going on this path, and his cards will be outrageous. Every single card he has, even Bowman Platinum and Bowman's Best, will be outrageous.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just it's a lesser product. You can't move it as quickly.
And it's a
It
shame because I love the way it looks. I think it's one of the nicest cards. Just the look of it. But yeah, no, I can't get rid of
yeah.
him.
Yeah, Bowman.
I got rid of Jordan Alvarez because it was like one of his only cards that he had out there last year. So like that was the only reason why I was able to sell that. It was a refractor, so I sold it for $30-$40 and great.
Hey, yeah. Take that money.
But, yeah, but beyond that, I don't see it. I asked the question, just people who again are entering into, and they see all these different brands, and another card which I wish did really well was Topps Stadium Club because those cards look amazing.
Oh,
They look, especially last year's. I crapped on them because I was like, I was looking at the resale values previously. I was like, these things don't resell well. Don't buy them. And then I got a box and I opened. I said, these are the greatest cards I've ever seen. Don't listen to anything I said previously instead.
they got that old school, that kind of old school feel to it, right? Just the whole card's the picture, and they just have the foil name in there, and it's pretty good looking. Last year, I went into the local shop in Milwaukee, Brewtown Trading Card Company, and maybe 20 minutes before I got in there, some guy had bought just 4 packs, just 4 single packs out of a Stadium Club box, and pulled a Vlad Guerrero Jr. Auto 101.
Oof. How was that? Yeah, I mean that never happens to anyone.
Yeah.
It's only heard. I don't think one of ones actually exists. I think it's just a myth.
Ooh, I pulled I pulled one the other day. Got
I,
a
I I don't remember the card, but I do remember seeing that you guys pulled a 1-of-1. But I
Keston
don't remember
Keston
at all
Hira.
what it was. Who?
Keston Hira.
Oh,
Yeah. So it was ideal because Brewers fans and Brewers second baseman. So it was very nice.
I'm big on him. I have a bunch of his heritage cards. I got his action variation card. Um, I'm a big fan of him. So hopefully he just keeps doing what he's doing and doesn't worry about his playoff performance.
Yeah. I'm not too worried. I mean, I'm a little worried from the strikeout standpoint, but that guy, the way he hits the ball to all fields and the way how hard he hit the ball, he's going to get a lot of hits to drop in. You can't really play him any which way. You can't shift him. So I'm not too worried, even though his strikeout numbers are a pretty big concern.
Yeah, but he also has Yelich there, and that's a huge plus. I don't know where he hits in the lineup. Truthfully, I would think that he's 2 or 6. One. I don't think he's batting 3, 4, or 5, or maybe I'm wrong.
Well, he probably will. So I think they'll probably have Yelich too.
You know what? I'm thinking back in the day.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
No, it's okay. So
the
I
best
think they'll
player
have
hits 2 now.
Yelich 2 and Keston 3 probably. Braun 4.
Oh, okay.
That would just be my guess. I can't speak for Craig Counsell, but
No, you
that'd be,
can't. Okay, we can confirm that. I'll
yeah,
put that.
confirmed. Nate from
Confirmed.
Slabstox cannot speak for Craig Counsell.
Got
Breaking
it.
news.
All right. I'm going to give you one wacky question. A wacky question, a radio question.
Ooh.
So, I didn't tell you about. All right. You got to sleep, you got to kill, or you got to marry. Bowman draft, or Bowman Chrome? Go. You don't even know what I'm talking about.
No. I do.
I was like, oh, no, this better not be some old reference that he doesn't get.
All right. So I'm gonna go. If we're basing it off of 2019, I'm killing Bowman Chrome. Easy.
You can't go 20. No, we got to go. We got to go to the average. But all right, you know what? No, I'll do that. 2019. I should be specific.
Well, we can go average, but I'm still killing Bowman Chrome. Just because I would marry Bowman Draft. It's my favorite release every year. Just absolutely incredible to get to see the new kids and kind of get those guys before they break out type of thing, right? Like we were talking about earlier.
Yep.
And then sleep, Bowman baseball, baseball usually has the second pick in the draft, and then also a couple of good international prospects, but it just doesn't have the same appeal to me as Bowman draft because I just love Bowman draft. So I like it. So that's what I'd say.
All right.
As long as we're clear on me killing Bowman Chrome because it's trash.
I'm in agreement with you on those 3. I would agree. If this was a more X-rated show, I would have done it proper, but
Yeah, I understand. Well,
one guy that I forgot to ask you about. We're gonna wrap it up here. Dominguez, Yankees, the Martian.
Oh yeah. Oh, having never seen him play myself in real life, I can't really speak on,
the legend, the myth,
anything like that. What I can say is that he is probably, due to him being the number 1 prospect and being called the Martian and being given $5 million of money from the Yankees and
it would be
being on
no.
and,
I'm sorry.
and being on the Yankees, and I imagine you're very excited about him.
Yes.
It seems like he's going to be probably $1,000 base. I would not be shocked. Let me just say that. I don't know if he will be $1,000 base auto coming out, but I would not be shocked if he is $1,000 base auto right away.
I think it's gonna be. I think Estevan Florial, when he was in Bowman Chrome, He was that. I think it was 800, 900, 1,000. I believe when his base auto, when I'm talking about like the first week, the first release.
Okay. Yeah,
I,
I don't remember. I don't even know if I was paying attention at the time. So,
not
um,
now his cards are like nothing now. They're like
yeah.
70. They drop down significantly.
Well, if there's anything I've learned about teams like the Yankees, Houston, teams like that, is that teams that consistently have top prospects on all those lists are probably because they push those prospects really
Mm-hmm.
hard, get them into the public consciousness, and then you think they're better than they really are, and you watch as they have a lot of guys fail.
Yep.
Esteban Florio being one of them. Albert Abreu, what happened to him? Uh, so just one of those things. But Jason Dominguez, I can't comment on any of his playing style or anything, but wow, is he going to be exciting to watch in the hobby?
Yes. I think he's going to be the Zion of baseball prospects for a
Yeah.
bit until he actually plays, and if he starts like, if he is what everyone is saying he is, the next Mike Trout, which who knows? I can't see that.
Yeah, nobody, Mike Trout is going to go down as a top 3 player all time. It's going to be some sort of him, Barry Bonds, and Babe Ruth.
Yep, I agree.
And it's impossible to put those standards on a kid.
But they will.
And they will. It's New York, right?
They will. No, if he's not up next year, he's a bum. So, yeah. All right. Do you have anything that you guys are promoting?
Yeah, sure. If you guys are interested, we have a lot of knowledge, and we pour over eBay data every night for about 2 hours, and we combine them all into an email, a list of links that we send out for auctions ending that day of guys we like. Um, and we compile that all in a nice looking email, give you the guy. We rank them in order of how we would, purchase them or who we like the best. And then we give you a price point of a recent comp for that card. Say it's a Marco Luciano Sparkle PSA 10 out of 299 auto. And that might be $650. And we'll put that over there. And then you can get that in the morning. You don't have to look up all these cards throughout the day. You won't miss any really big auctions because we'll have it in there for you. And then you can be like, oh, this guy's ending tonight. I didn't realize that. And you can click on it right there. It will take you right to the auction page, at which point you can save it, or you can, watch it, or you can forget about it. But it's a nice way for Aaron and I to gain knowledge, and then for others to see the auctions and then also gain knowledge because they can follow along and be like, oh, you know, Castanera Topps Update PSA 10 was $30 yesterday, and 3 days later, it's now $60. I would never have noticed that because I wouldn't have looked it up, but now I see it because it's on the email. So it's a nice learning tool and a nice for us and for anybody that signs up, and then also a nice way to keep on top with the card market, which is hard to keep on top of.
Yeah, no, I agree. I used to, when I put my kids to sleep, I would lay down next to them and just scroll through eBay solds. And so,
Yeah.
like, that's the way I was able to do that. But it would be much easier if I just got an email saying, "Hey, stupid, look at these cards," and I can just go to an email and not have to, you know, figure out what I should be doing and what I shouldn't be. So
Yep.
that's
So if
really good.
I should mention, if you want to sign up for that, you can go to slabstox.com and put it right at the top. There'll be a thing to enter your email. That's all it takes. Just your email, no name, no birth date, no nothing. Just email,
Social
and it will get
Security,
sent.
no
Very
Social
easy.
Security.
No,
Okay.
well, actually, if you want to put in your social security, if you
Not a
specifically
problem.
if you're really rich, your birth date, your name, your middle name, where you're
Credit card
born,
information.
credit card information, you can put that all in too. It's okay.
Awesome. I already did that, so that's great. All right.
Well,
Thank you very much for doing this interview. I think a lot of people are going to learn a ton of stuff. I'm sure all 10 people listen to my show will sign up, and if they haven't already. And it was Great having you. Thank you very much, Nate.
Yeah, thank you. It was a pleasure. I always appreciate getting to do these types of things, Dave. So, or David, I don't know which one you prefer, but I appreciate that. So, thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Nate. Bye.
Bye.
I hope you guys really enjoyed that interview. I had a ton of fun. Once again, if you're on YouTube listening to this, please like, please comment, please share. Anywhere you are, it really does help me out. It makes me feel good. If you're gonna say something bad, just don't post it. Don't be a jerk. I don't like it. It makes me sad. And then I think about it. I sit in my house and I think about it and I think about, oh no, Big Bear 1234 says I'm not good. It bothers me. It hurts. But I think there's plenty of people that give me, the boost that I need, give me the confidence to go on. So thank you very much. Go to my website, svacardcollectors.com, download the Flick Chat app, head over to slabstox.com, sign up. They do a great job as well. And you guys know what to do. Buy some cards and go broke. Later.